Wong Jack Man. He's on a pilgrimage to check out Kung Fu in America.
In the quiet twilight of his life, Wong Jack Man embarked on a pilgrimage not across distant lands, but through the corridors of memory, a journey to confront a chapter of his past that had haunted him for decades. As he lay on his deathbed, the anticipation in the room was palpable, a mix of curiosity, reverence, and a quiet anxiety shared by those gathered around him. Among them were his closest friends, family, and disciples, all waiting to hear the truths that had remained hidden for so long. They had come from far and wide, even from as far as San Francisco, to witness this final revelation. The tension in the air was thick, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath, bracing for a confession that could rewrite history. Wong Jack Man, the man known for his unwavering discipline and mastery of martial arts, had spent a lifetime dedicated to perfection, humility, and the transmission of knowledge. Yet beneath that serene exterior was a story few had dared to question. An encounter with one of the most legendary figures in martial arts history, Bruce Lee, that had long captivated the imaginations of enthusiasts and historians alike. This was not merely a tale of physical prowess, speed, and skill. It was a story that intertwined honor, philosophy, rivalry, and the very evolution of martial arts as a living, breathing discipline. The events that led to that legendary confrontation were steeped in mystery and speculation. Over the years, countless accounts have painted the fight in varying shades, from tales of unbroken domination to stories of a tactical stalemate. Each retelling added its own color, its own interpretation, and its own emotional charge. But the true story Wong now knew was something far more personal than the public narratives had ever suggested. It was a story about the clash of philosophies, the struggle between tradition and innovation, and the quiet, unspoken rivalries that drive men to test themselves against forces greater than their own abilities. As he prepared to speak, Wong Jack Man understood that this confession would not merely satisfy curiosity, it would challenge long-held assumptions and reshape the understanding of martial arts history. It was a moment of reckoning, not just for him, but for all who had followed a career, admired his discipline, or believed they understood the nature of the legendary fight. For decades, people had speculated about the outcome, the techniques, the strategy, and the psychological dimensions of that encounter, but few had considered the internal struggle that defined it, an inner battle between pride, respect, fear, and admiration. In this room, gathered around a man whose life had been devoted to the mastery of Northern Shaolin and the preservation of martial traditions, there was a sense of anticipation unlike any other. The story that was about to be told would traverse the path from Wong Jack Man's early years in Hong Kong, through the formative experiences that shaped him, into the complex and nuanced conflict that led to the fateful meeting with Bruce Lee, and finally, to the revelation of his deepest truth. It would be a journey that explored the human side of martial arts, the psychology of rivalry, and the way one man's courage to speak the truth could redefine a legend. As Wong drew a slow, measured breath, those present knew that history itself was about to be revisited, not in textbooks or cinematic dramatizations, but through the voice of a man who had lived it, wrestled with it, and carried its burden in silence for decades. The story that followed was one of discipline, ambition, confrontation, humility, and ultimately revelation. It was a culmination of a lifetime devoted to martial arts, the unearthing of emotions long buried, and the opportunity to finally set the record straight about a fight that had captivated the world. This was not simply a confession. It was a final chapter in a saga that spanned continents, generations, and philosophies. It was a meditation on legacy, a tribute to the enduring power of mastery, and a testament to the human struggle to reconcile pride with reality. In the words that would follow, Wong Jack Man would reveal not only the truth about his legendary confrontation with Bruce Lee, but also the personal journey that had brought him to this moment of ultimate clarity. The stage was set, the audience prepared, and the time had come for the veil of silence to be lifted. What emerged from that moment would forever change the way martial arts enthusiasts, historians, and the world at large understood the lives, the philosophies, and the legendary confrontation of two extraordinary men. Wong Jack Man was born in the bustling heart of Hong Kong during the early 1940s, a period marked by political upheaval, cultural transformation, and the lingering echoes of wartime tension. The city itself was a dynamic mosaic of old traditions and emerging modernity, where ancient temples stood beside new markets and classical teachings coexisted with the influences of Western colonial presence. In such a world, young Wong found himself drawn not to the clamor of the streets or the distractions of a rapidly changing society, but inward toward the disciplined, quiet, and profound universe of martial arts. From an early age, it was clear that he possessed an innate curiosity, an observant mind, and a remarkable physicality that distinguished him from his peers. His formative years were spent in mainland China, a journey that would deeply shape his character, philosophy, and understanding of martial traditions. In this environment, Wong was immersed in the rigorous study of Chinese culture, philosophy, and martial practice. From the age when most children are preoccupied with play, Wong engaged in exercises of balance, strength, and concentration. He studied the intricacies of posture, breathing, and mental focus, learning that martial arts were far more than mere techniques of combat. They were a philosophy, a disciplined way of life that required patience, respect, and an unyielding dedication to personal growth. Each movement he learned was rooted in centuries of refinement, the accumulated wisdom of generations of practitioners who had sought not only mastery over their own bodies, but harmony with the world around them. It was within this cultural and philosophical context that Wong first encountered the Northern Shaolin system, a martial art that would become the centerpiece of his life's work. Known for its perfect balance between explosive power and elegant precision, Northern Shaolin training demanded extraordinary commitment. Practitioners were required to maintain deep stances that strengthened the legs, execute high sweeping kicks that demanded flexibility and timing, and perform powerful strikes that integrated the full force of the body. For young Wong, the practice was simultaneously exhilarating and humbling. He quickly realized that the art required not only physical dexterity, but a mental resilience that would take years to cultivate. Over time, this system began to shape his identity, teaching him that true mastery was as much about inner control as it was about external skill. Wong's natural athleticism accelerated his development. His reflexes were sharp, his coordination exceptional, and his focus unwavering. Unlike some of his peers, who might have seen martial arts as a form of recreation or a path to social recognition, Wong approached every session with deliberate intent. He understood that every movement, every stance, and every strike carried a lesson, not only about technique, but about discipline, patience, and the balance of mind and body. Meditation and self-reflection became integral parts of his training, guiding him to understand the deeper philosophical principles that underscored each martial form. He was learning that mastery was not merely the accumulation of skills, but the cultivation of character, resilience, and awareness. While Northern Shaolin was his primary focus, Wong's curiosity and openness to learning drove him to explore other martial art styles as well. He studied aspects of internal martial arts such as Tai Chi, Xing-Yi, and Bagua, recognizing that these arts emphasize internal energy, mental focus, and subtle control, qualities that complemented the explosive physicality of Shaolin techniques. This willingness to integrate multiple disciplines revealed an early adaptability in his thinking. Wong learned that a rigid adherence to a single style could be limiting. True mastery involved understanding the strengths and weaknesses of each approach and harmonizing them into a cohesive whole. This intellectual and physical flexibility would later shape his teaching philosophy, which emphasized not only skill, but also understanding and awareness. As Wong matured into adolescence, his reputation as a disciplined and talented martial artist began to grow. Teachers and masters recognized in him a rare combination of physical ability, mental acuity, and moral character. He was not just strong or fast. He exhibited the humility, respect, and focus that marked him as someone destined for a higher level of mastery. His reputation spread slowly at first, but steadily, and he began to attract the attention of fellow students, some of whom would eventually become his own disciples. Yet despite this early recognition, Wong remained grounded. He was not motivated by fame, public accolades, or commercial gain. For him, martial arts was a sacred practice, a means of personal growth, and a responsibility to preserve the wisdom of the past. During these years, Wong also experienced a subtle tension between tradition and change. While he was deeply rooted in centuries-old practices, he could not ignore that the world around him was evolving. New approaches, new ideas, and new fighters were beginning to emerge, challenging established norms. At this stage, Wong's perspective was one of cautious observation. He believed that the principles he had inherited were strong, tested by generations, and inherently reliable. Yet he also sensed that martial arts, like all living traditions, could not remain static indefinitely. This awareness planted the seeds of the internal reflection that would later define his response to revolutionary figures such as Bruce Lee. By the time Wong entered adulthood, he was a figure of quiet authority in his community, a man whose skills, wisdom, and integrity earned him respect without demanding attention. He had transformed from a curious child into a disciplined, thoughtful, and profoundly capable martial artist. Every aspect of his life, from physical conditioning to philosophical inquiry, reflected the values he had cultivated: patience, respect, balance, and the relentless pursuit of excellence. It was this foundation that would not only define his career but prepare him for the eventual confrontation that would cement his place in martial arts history. His early years were not just a preparation for combat. They were a rigorous education in life itself, a lesson in perseverance, humility, and the pursuit of mastery. In these early years, the trajectory of Wong Jack Man's life was clear. He was destined not merely to practice martial arts, but to live them fully, to embody their principles, and to pass them on with fidelity and discernment. Yet even as he mastered his techniques and absorbed the philosophies of his teachers, the world of martial arts beyond his immediate environment was stirring. Change was coming, and with it, challenges that would test not only his physical abilities, but his understanding of honor, tradition, and personal identity. The stage was set for the next phase of his life, a journey that would see Wong Jack Man rise from a talented, disciplined student to a revered master, ultimately leading him toward a confrontation that would forever intertwine his legacy with that of one of the most influential martial artists of all time. As Wong Jack Man transitioned from youth into adulthood, his commitment to the Northern Shaolin system deepened, and he began to emerge as a martial artist of extraordinary skill and discipline. Years of rigorous training, repetition, and philosophical study had transformed him from a promising student into a master whose movements were precise, fluid, and deeply rooted in tradition. Every strike, kick, and stance reflected not only technical mastery, but an understanding of the art's underlying principles, a harmony between power and control, aggression and restraint, form and freedom. It was in these years that Wong's reputation began to spread beyond his immediate circle, attracting the attention of those who sought guidance from a practitioner whose expertise was matched by humility and integrity. Wong's approach to martial arts was holistic. For him, mastery was not measured solely by physical ability or victory in combat. It was a lifelong pursuit of balance, self-awareness, and the integration of body and mind. Meditation and mental discipline were as important as conditioning, strength training, and technical precision. This philosophy distinguished Wong from many of his contemporaries who sought fame, competition, or financial gain. While others might showcase their skills for recognition, Wong remained focused on the purity of the practice itself. To him, martial arts were a means of cultivating character, understanding the subtleties of human movement, and fostering respect for oneself and others. By his early 20s, Wong began to take on students, not as a path to notoriety, but as a responsibility to transmit the knowledge he had received. His teaching was methodical, emphasizing the intricate balance between offense and defense, the flow of energy through the body, and the importance of timing, precision, and awareness. Students were trained not only to execute techniques with skill, but to understand their purpose, applications, and philosophical roots. He insisted that martial arts were more than just fighting. They were a way of life, a discipline that shaped thought, character, and perception. His students quickly recognized that he demanded much of them, but he also offered guidance tempered with patience and insight, nurturing their growth in a way that reflected the values he had absorbed in his own training. Although firmly rooted in the external power of Northern Shaolin, Wong Jack Man was not blind to the value of internal martial arts. He studied Tai Chi, Xing Yi, and Bagua, understanding that true mastery required an integration of external strength and internal control. These disciplines emphasized fluidity, balance, and the cultivation of internal energy, elements that complemented the explosive techniques of Shaolin forms. In his teaching, Wong encouraged students to see beyond the physical dimension, to appreciate the interplay between mind, body, and spirit. This adaptability, combined with unwavering discipline, became a defining feature of his approach, bridging the gap between tradition and innovation without sacrificing the essence of the art. Wong's reputation continued to grow steadily. fueled not by ambition or self-promotion, but by the results his students achieved and the quiet integrity with which he conducted himself. He became known as a teacher who demanded discipline, yet inspired loyalty and admiration. Those who trained under him spoke of his meticulous attention to detail, his insistence on ethical conduct, and his ability to convey profound philosophical insights alongside technical instruction. Unlike some masters who allowed ego or competition to dominate their lives, Wong remained committed to the authenticity of his art, resisting the growing commercialization of martial arts that was beginning to take hold in America and abroad. For him, recognition was secondary. Mastery, understanding, and the transmission of wisdom were paramount. During this period, the martial arts world was undergoing significant change. New philosophies, techniques, and personalities were emerging, challenging centuries-old traditions. While some masters viewed these shifts with skepticism, Wong maintained an open mind, recognizing that adaptability was a key component of true skill. His own exploration of internal martial arts, alongside his rigorous Shaolin training, reflected a willingness to evolve while remaining anchored in foundational principles. He taught that a martial artist must be precise and disciplined, but also perceptive, thoughtful, and capable of adjusting to unforeseen circumstances. This philosophy would later become central to the contrast between Wong's approach and that of Bruce Lee, whose revolutionary methods would challenge the old guard in dramatic ways. By the late 1950s and early 1960s, Wong Jack Man had established himself as a respected figure in the martial arts community, both in Hong Kong and abroad. Students traveled great distances to study under him, drawn not by promises of fame or lucrative careers, but by the opportunity to learn from a master whose dedication was total and whose insight was profound. His reputation extended to those who had never trained with him personally. Stories of his discipline, skill, and wisdom circulated among practitioners, earning him a quiet but formidable influence. Yet, Wong never sought the limelight. Unlike many martial artists who crave recognition, media attention, or financial success, he preferred the understated role of teacher, mentor, and guardian of tradition. At the same time, Wong began to sense subtle shifts in the martial arts landscape. A new kind of fighter was emerging, someone who rejected strict adherence to traditional forms in favor of a more adaptive, fluid approach. This individual combined philosophy with practicality, innovation with effectiveness, and confidence with speed. Though Wong had yet to encounter him personally, whispers of this rising figure began circulating, capturing the imagination of students and practitioners alike. There was something compelling and unsettling about the emergence of this new force, a force that would eventually come to be known by the name Bruce Lee. For Wong, these years of growth were about more than accumulating skill or building a reputation. They were a preparation for the challenges that lay ahead. His mastery of Northern Shaolin, his exploration of internal arts, and his philosophical depth gave him a strong foundation. But the world was changing rapidly, and he knew that strength alone would not define the future of martial arts. In his mind, the cultivation of integrity, awareness, and adaptability was as essential as any physical technique. It was his blend of tradition, discipline, and open-mindedness that would define his rise as a revered martial artist, and ultimately position him to confront the unprecedented challenges that Bruce Lee's revolutionary approach would soon present. By the mid-1960s, Wong Jack Man was widely regarded not just as a skilled fighter, but as a master and custodian of martial arts philosophy. His life embodied the principles he taught: discipline tempered by wisdom, strength balanced by restraint, and tradition complemented by thoughtful exploration. The rise of Wong Jack Man was not about personal glory or notoriety. It was about embodying the timeless values of martial arts and preparing for a world in which those values would be tested in ways he had never imagined. The anticipation surrounding the confrontation between Bruce Lee and Wong Jack Man was palpable long before the two men met. Both were aware that this encounter was more than a mere sparring session. It was a symbolic collision of philosophies and legacies. For Wong, it was a defense of centuries of tradition and the culmination of years of disciplined training. For Lee, it was a demonstration of innovation, adaptability, and a challenge to the established norms of martial arts. Their approach to preparation reflected their contrasting personalities. Wong trained meticulously, refining stances, strikes, and defensive maneuvers, ensuring that his body and mind were perfectly aligned. Meditation and visualization were integral components of his regimen, allowing him to anticipate the flow of combat and maintain composure under pressure. Every movement, from a simple punch to a high kick, was deliberate, rehearsed, and calculated. The fight between Bruce Lee and Wong Jack Man was more than just a battle. It was a clash of tradition and innovation, discipline and adaptability. Each left a legacy that continues to inspire martial artists around the world. Bruce Lee showed the power of evolution, while Wong Jack Man reminded us of the value of mastery and respect. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more legendary tales from martial arts history. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.